1985, here she is, woman, studying this word, okay, starting a church on her own at the behest of the Lord. But her relationship with God was always that vibrant. So she's always had this very live and interactive relationship with him. So it was difficult for her to go to churches where they said God didn't talk to you. And she said, "What? God doesn't talk to you?" So she didn't know that, that was unusual. Okay. She's like, I didn't know that that was not what people did. So that made it very difficult for her to just kind of blend in with what we call mainstream Christianity, where you just kind of went to church and you paid your tithes and you did your thing, and that was all there was. Her relationship with God was personified. It was not just personal, it was real and dynamic. And so that's what made it so rich and unique. And so God called her out and said, "I want you to do this. I want you to start a ministry." And so she did. She started a ministry, a Bible college. She began to write books and travel. And so we had all of that going on at one time in 1985, Everlasting Life. And so, and even in that, the title alone became the foundation for what her ministry would ultimately be about, for people, bringing them into the truth about God's life. And she took that on as a personal mission, if you will. Most people get into ministry because they just want to serve and help. She's on a mission. And that's what makes her very different, is that for us, it wasn't just church, it wasn't just ministry, it was a mission. And so that's how I could say the ministry got started and began to be what we see today. I'll just say this. Culture starts with the word cult. Because at the end of the day, what we now call culture starts as some form of unified worship, customs, practices, and ideas that people engage in. So I always think it's funny how when you have a sect or a group of society that wants to worship a certain way or do a certain thing, we automatically label them a cult, forgetting that our own culture comes from that. The reason why we have a culture is because we agree on certain customs and practices and those sort of things. So for us, when we talk about unity, we're not talking about trying to take people away from their individuality. We're trying to bring people into the reality of what Jesus Christ was going for, which was to make us like himself. So that means that technically when it comes to Christianity, he's the brand and there's only one kind. So that's what she's aiming for. It's not about, being judgmental and taking over your life and trying to tell you what to do and sending people to hell. She's like, no, I want to send you to life. And I wanted to inspire you and give you enough information and understanding about the difference between the two so that you can make your own choice. Because God says, I set before you what? Death and life. So Dr. Price is on a mission to give people options so they make the right choice. You can't make the right choice without the right information. So her whole ministry is about giving people the right information for them to make the right choices. It's not about you have to choose Christianity, don't have to choose Christianity. It's about knowing why you will or you won't. It has to be your option. It has to be your choice and your decision. No one can force that on anyone. In fact, she says, one of my favorite statements is that God doesn't save religions, he saves people. Because this is an individualized choice that you have to make about wanting to have a relationship with your creator. And that is done on a person-to-person basis. Once you make that choice and you have that self-same spirit on the inside of you, guess what we start doing? Having a lot of things in common. And so that's why people think it's a cult when really it's a culture.